Hey everybody, Wave 3 News Meteorologist Ryan Hoke here with your Hokey video blog for Sunday morning, July 26th. We are talking about heat, humidity, and storm chances today. We will certainly be seeing those over the next several days. Let's get to today's Hokey weather fact first. We're talking about lightning and thunder. The fact that thunder can be heard up to 10 miles, roughly, away from a lightning strike. Once you're able to hear that thunder, it's too close to a lightning strike for safety, so you need to go indoors. The atmosphere has quite a few attenuating effects on that sound wave as it travels away from the explosion of the lightning strike. So after about 10, maybe 12 miles, you're not able to pick that up. We talked about yesterday how elephants, though, can hear either the thunder or the rain from thunderstorms up to 150 miles away. Wouldn't that be neat if we had that ability as humans? That'd be pretty cool. Kentucky One Health SkyTrack network of cameras showing you a clear view from Shepherdsville, but we've got a few clouds in Corydon. Our northern counties now experiencing that cloud cover. This is all due to thunderstorms happening off to our north and west. You see the clouds starting to build into our southern Indiana counties now. We're going to be watching this complex right here moving through portions of southern Illinois. Now the lightning's getting picked up by our lightning detector network. Second line of storms out here, probably a little stronger across portions of Iowa and northern Missouri. This line needs to be watched, though, because as it moves toward the east, it'll provide the energy necessary for not only a couple of showers around here, but the ability to maybe pop up some more thunderstorms. There's kind of a push and pull of factors today. The push against having any sort of thunderstorm chance would be these clouds out in front of this, what's called an MCS, a mesoscale convective system, fancy word for a line of storms. When you get the clouds in front of it like that, that tends to weaken the storms. That's what we're beginning to see this morning. They have fired up just a little bit right here in this area east of St. Louis, but I don't think it's going to be a huge deal severe weather-wise, not only for them but for us, because as we go throughout the day, we don't have a lot of ingredients necessary for that other than heat and humidity. Not a lot of wind energy, and not a huge focus other than just kind of this riding wave aloft that's going to be moving toward the lower Ohio Valley by this afternoon. So that's going to keep the storm chance in the forecast today of the scattered variety. I will caution you, if we had to put a confidence meter on these storms for this afternoon, it would be at about a 4. This is a tough forecast because not only do we have the clouds and this atmospheric wave and the current storms kind of pushing and pulling at one another, we've got the fact that the models aren't handling anything very well this morning, and therefore for this afternoon, the forecast at best is tenuous. Temperatures, let's at least start there. We'll be in the lower 90s today. I've got us at 92. There is a potential for 93, but I've taken us down a degree from that because I do think the amount of cloud cover will limit the heating somewhat. We did see that yesterday when we only got up to 90. I say only, but compared to our forecast temperature, of course. And we've got those storm chances through the day. Here's how we go with Futurecast. This is the 4-kilometer RPM model that we use here with the station. By 2 o'clock, keeps us clear. But look at all this convective debris or cloud cover. I mean, it is running around like crazy, and it's keeping us from getting much in the way of storms. We'll see how that happens. By 6 o'clock, it does pop a few of them in southwest Indiana. These would be new storms trying to pop up with that atmospheric wave moving through. Takes a couple of them through here by, I'd say, the early evening into the mid-evening that dissipates them well after sunset. So we'll have to see how that works out. The RPM at odds with the high-resolution rapid refresh at this point that was trying to be a little aggressive earlier. It's kind of tapered down on that a little bit. So hopefully we can keep the storm coverage at or below 30%. I think that looks good for today. It's just where the storms are going to be, when they're going to form is the tough issue right now. And I think if you basically live along and west of I-65, you have the best storm chance. And I think if you live north of I-64, you've got the best storm chance there. So it's really this corridor right here that has the best storm chance for the entire day. But basically, these areas right here can't be ruled out as well. If you're basically from Lebanon to Campbellsville, you guys are under the influence of that high pressure out to the west so much that it might not be a big factor for you today in the storm department. So we'll see how that works out. Overnight activity begins to fire up around sunrise tomorrow morning. We have another wave moving through, so we may have additional thunderstorms to deal with just in time for your Monday morning commute. Isn't that lovely? And as we go throughout Monday afternoon, based on how the storms perform in the morning, we may have additional scattered thunderstorm activity. So I've carried scattered thunderstorm chances through today and tomorrow. I've upped today's chance to 30. Tomorrow's at 30 as well. I debated on taking tomorrow to 40, but with the morning and afternoon chances kind of hinging upon one another, I kept it at 30 now just for the uncertainty's sake. There's a marginal risk of severe weather west of I-65 today, and that's going to be for this afternoon and this evening. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. Marginal risk basically means a few strong storms. 1 or 2 severe thunderstorm warnings may pop on because of this. If we get any training, maybe a flash flood warning. I don't think that's going to be a big deal today. We've seen the air trend drier than what the models are thinking it is, so that kind of helps put the kibosh on widespread storm activity. That's the good news there. So again, we'll be watching for any stronger storms with damaging wind gusts and maybe a brief burst of very heavy rain. But at this point, it's not going to be anything like we've seen in the previous weeks, where it's just knockout, drag-out storms for hours on end across a good portion of the area. That was a headache, to say the least, and I don't think we'll see that. As far as the timing goes, I've put it at 6 o'clock for the highest storm chance. I had it at 3 o'clock earlier. I've shifted it based on model trends, and based on what we're seeing out to the west with those clouds moving in very aggressively this morning, it may take a while for the atmosphere to recover. So I put the 30% at 6 o'clock. That may be a very short time frame, but we do have that 30%, maybe a couple hours, just when the 30% is realized over our viewing area of 29 counties. That means most folks are going to stay dry today. I think that's the big overriding thing that you should probably take home and tell your friends today. Is most will stay dry today. Those that get storms could get them very briefly and very heavy for at least just a short period of time. So that's what we're looking at for the afternoon. So if you've got to mow the grass, I did this a few days ago, and thankfully I did so when the humidity was lower. Otherwise, I would have been sweating it out. If you're doing it today, you're going to be sweating it out, but you've got a better chance of not feeling as exhausted if you do it in the morning, though, because by the afternoon we'll be up in the lower 90s, and then we got that storm chance to contend with in the areas that I just mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. Heading out to the pool, we've got a few thunderstorms. Listen out for the thunder today. Take the Wave 3 News weather app with you to the pool. If the pool's at your house, you've got it right at your fingertips, but make sure you got that phone handy for today so you can definitely keep track of that forecast and, of course, the Doppler radar that you can get at your fingertips there. 92 degrees. UV index of 8 today. Put on the sunscreen. It's always a good call, right? Sticky meter over the next several days keeps our dew point in the 70s. I think today's is a little overdone. Again, this is model driven right here. The 76 probably going to be closer to that 71, 72 mark. And then the next couple of days, that looks pretty good, though. 73 for Monday, 71 for Tuesday. It's going to be sticky out there. It's going to feel nasty. It's not going to be super oppressive, but, you know, it is summer, right? We're used to it here in the lower Ohio Valley. 7-day breakdown takes you through the next 7 days, and you'll see that I took highs up to 93 on Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we jumped down with that front moving through on Thursday. I put a 40% storm chance in for that. That may be a nocturnal line of storms between Wednesday and Thursday. That's the way it's looking now. I think it would more so be on Thursday when we see the storms move through the bulk of our area. That's why I kept the 40 on Thursday, the 30 on Wednesday. It would just be after midnight, though. It's more of a technicality at this point. You'll see the Waterfront Wednesday hourly forecast really shows you what I'm thinking here. Those storms really ramping up in coverage area as we go throughout 10 o'clock. I think we'll be able to get the event underway. It'll be just fine. Near the end of the event, we may get some storms getting closer to the river, so hopefully we can wrap things up before that happens. We'll just have to see how that works out. Otherwise, as we go through your earliest alert outlook, it gives you a look at the next 2 weeks, something you'll see only here on Wave 3 News. We've got storm chances for next week as well. We've got one day in the 90s, I should say, on August 2nd. It just looks like we'll be able to recover the atmosphere enough from that cool down later this week with the storms moving through that we'll be able to surge back into the 90s. But then more storms arrive on the 3rd. It's another one of these fronts, and it's going to be real fast moving through. So I think we'll see 80s throughout much of next week, if not most of it. So that's the good news there. These storm chances through the 5th and the 6th, I think, will be the highest. That's when I think the bulk of this front's going to be moving through during this time. We may see a couple reinforcing shots of cool air, but we may need to downgrade one of these days into the 70s at this point. This looks like a pretty strong trough that's getting ready to set up over the eastern half of the nation, coming down from Hudson Bay in Canada. This is that pattern again where we get the trough on the eastern half of the nation, then the big high-pressure, hot ridge over the western half of the nation, and when you get the two combined there, you get cooler weather in the east and warmer weather in the west, kind of like what we had over the previous couple of winters with that same upper-level flow pattern. We will certainly keep an eye on it over the next several days and make tweaks to this forecast as necessary, because again, some of this data, of course, 10, 14 days out, highly changeable at this point, but I think it's a pretty solid estimation of what's going to be happening based on what we have now. 58 days till autumn. If you needed a cool thought for today, you can tell your friends that we're under 2 months away. All right, that's it for the Hokey video blog today. I am back in at 6 and 11 tonight on Wave 3 News. We'll be tracking those storms, if and when and where they do develop today based on some of the data coming in, and we'll give you the latest look at the next 7 to 14 days with some tweaks to that forecast coming up in just a few hours. All right, for now, meteorologist Ryan Hoke. Have a great Sunday.